Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public video for Week 18 this Sunday, January the 7th, the final day of the NFL regular season. I've got 5 public sides for you for this Sunday. Going to give those to you free here in just a moment. Quick reminder that Fade the Public is a filter, one of the many handicapping factors we use each week in the NFL, but it does work in general better later in the season, and that's been the case once again this year. Over the past 5 weeks, Fading the Public here in this video is going 19 and 11, 63% on the blind. Now, I would say Week 18 may be a little dicey because we have a lot of teams resting players, so the lines are off several points, and the public doesn't always take that into account. They just blindly see the better team getting a cheap price, or in one case here, we do have a public dog this week. With that said, though, these are still very 5 public sides, and fading them long-term has done well late in the season, so I want to give those to you, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into each game to see if there is some value fading these particular plays. I'm going to go down in order based on the most public plays this week, and that's something also that's been working well here in recent weeks. Fading the most very public play of the week has done well, and the most public play this Sunday, Week 18, is the Detroit Lions minus the 3.5. And now, this is one of the situations I'm talking about. This line is cheaper because the Lions have nothing to play for. They basically are locked into the number 3 seed. They could possibly, about a 3% chance, get up to the number 2 seed, but they have no chance of getting the number 1 seed. That's already locked up by San Francisco. And the reason that's important is because unlike years past where the top 2 teams get a bye, only the number 1 team gets a bye. And Baltimore and San Francisco both locked up the number 1 seeds in each conference. So everyone else who is making the playoffs will play next week and will not have a bye week. So the Lions are going to take it easy here. They are starting Jared Goff. On the surface, it looks like they're playing to win, but I don't think that'll be the case. And just the way they played that game against Dallas last Saturday, going for 2 for the win instead of playing for overtime, and then after the penalty going for 2, which made no sense at that point, tells me that they just want to get through to the postseason. They don't want any more regular season, and they want to stay healthy. Now, Goff is going to start it once again, but I would expect him to be limited, maybe pulled in the second half. Meanwhile, Nick Mullins gets to start once again for the Vikings, and the Vikings do still have something to play for. Only about a 3 to 4% mathematical chance that they can make the postseason. They need to win, and they also need losses by the Seahawks and either the Saints or Bucs. So a lot of things have to happen, but they are still mathematically alive at 7-9 for the playoffs, even as unlikely as it might be. So Minnesota will be playing all their key players, yet the public is fading them here, and the Lions are the most public play this week, minus the 3.5. I did a solo standalone video for this game, also some more in-depth analysis here on WagerTalk TV this weekend. I do lean towards Minnesota. I think this is a spot where fading the public makes some sense. Lions have absolutely nothing to play for. All right, the second most public play this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's not a surprise. Public's been on the Bucs a bit recently, but it's more so they've been fading Carolina each and every week. I mentioned last week that the public was somewhat fading the Panthers again, but Jacksonville was without Trevor Lawrence, so I didn't use that on the video here because a lot of times when you get a backup quarterback, the lines are kind of wonky, and it doesn't really qualify. And Jacksonville blew out Carolina, shut them out. Panthers remain just a terrible offensive team this year. So not a surprise that the public is fading them this week with the Tampa Bay Bucs. And keep in mind, the public has been on the Bucs a few times recently. One of the most public plays last week is Tampa, but we took advantage of fading the public here on the video and also for my personal best bets with the New Orleans Saints last week. And that snapped Tampa's 4-game win streak and their 3-game spread streak against the Winds. And they also failed to clinch a playoff berth. However, they still control their own destiny. They win this game, they win the division still. All they had to do was win last week. Now all they have to do is win this week. I'm not sure it's that easy, though. You know, long-term playing against these must-win teams has made a lot of money in the NFL, and the Panthers do qualify in some good late-season contrarian angles. Obviously, we're fading the public. That's an angle that works well. And also, non-playoff teams that are against these must-win teams have been a long-term 60% play. Carolina fits that subset as well. Yes, Carolina is a terrible team. I get that. But they have covered still 3 of their last 5 and 2 of their last 3 overall. So it does look like the adjusted line value is starting to kick in. And keep in mind, just a month ago, back on December 3rd, the public was fading Carolina hard with the Buccaneers. And Tampa, yes, they won the game by 3, but failed to cover as a 3.5 to 4-point favorite. So once again, I think the adjusted line value works here. And we'll take Carolina, who is now a bigger home dog than they were on the road just a month ago. That once again shows that this line has been overinflated based on the quote-unquote must-win situation for Tampa. So Carolina covered as a 3.5-point road dog a month ago. Now they're getting 4.5 at home. So I do think there's some value with Carolina. I do think fading the public makes sense once again in this game. So once again, 2 most public plays this week, Lions and Buccaneers. Both of those, by the way, go at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday afternoon, week number 18. All right, let's look at one more play here before we get to a late afternoon play and also the public dog. One other play on the daytime card, also at 1 Eastern. It's getting some public love, is the New Orleans Saints minus the 3 points. And this is another game in that same division, that ugly NFC South. And I say that, by the way, because only 6 times in NFL history has a team won the division with a losing record, and that was Tampa Bay last year in this division. Well, it could happen for a 7th time. If the Atlanta Falcons win this game as a 3-point dog and they get a little bit of help with the Panthers pulling the outright upset against New Orleans, then Atlanta would be the division champs despite having a losing record at just 8-9 overall. About a 14% chance the Falcons can pull this off, make the playoffs once again with a win. And then if the Bucs could lose to the Panthers, Atlanta would actually win this division and be just 8-9 overall. So this is another situation, though. The public is fading the Falcons, as they've done quite often here in recent weeks. They faded them a couple weeks ago as well, if you recall. And it's been a situation with Atlanta has struggled down the stretch, losing 3 of their last 4 straight up in ATS. They faded them with the Panthers. Against the Panthers, Atlanta lost that game outright. Then they came back and backed them against the Colts, and the Falcons won that game outright. So it's been kind of a weird ride. And last week, the public was on the Bears, as I mentioned in this video, and Atlanta lost by 20. So the public's been all over the Falcons here in recent weeks. They are fading them this week. And with the New Orleans Saints, who have won 3 of their last 4 straight up and against the spread, including that upset win last week against Tampa. As I mentioned, I had a strong best bet for my clients at WagerTalk last Sunday on the Saints, even though the public was heavy on the Bucs. So it's an interesting game here, but the public does like the Saints this week, minus the 3 points. And as far as playoff implications, as I mentioned, the Falcons have to pull the upset and then hope that the Panthers pull the upset. They win the division. Otherwise, the Saints can still get it done by winning here, and they need a loss by the Bucs, or if the Seahawks and Packers both lose as 3-point favorites and the Saints win. Even if Tampa wins the division, the Saints would still get in as a wild card at 9-8. So both teams, Atlanta and New Orleans, have plenty to play for. One of the reasons the public is not backing the Falcons is a quarterback situation. Taylor Heinicke replaced Ritter a couple weeks ago. Now Heinicke is questionable heading into the weekend. He is still a game-time decision for Sunday with the ankle injury. Desmond Ritter did come back in last week against Chicago for Heinicke. They've both been mediocre. They both have been below average. I think it makes very little difference who's at quarterback. I will point out, though, earlier this season, a month and a half ago, November 26th, the Falcons did win at home as a 1-point favorite, 24-15, with Ritter at quarterback. Even though they were outgained by 48 yards in that game, they did win 24-15 against the Saints. All right, those are 3 public plays for you on the daytime card. Going to get to some late afternoon action for you. 2 games on the 4 o'clock Eastern card. Once again, your 3 public plays on the early card, as I just mentioned, Lions, Buccaneers, and Saints. Going to look at the 2 late afternoon ones, including a public underdog for you here in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, if you want my official best bets, we don't just blindly fade the public. I know it's gone 19-11, 63% the last 5 weeks here on this video. I'm giving you 5 fade the public plays this week. We'll see how they do. But once again, use it as a filter, as a factor, part of the overall handicapping arsenal, and it helps you narrow down your official best bets. And my official best bets have done quite well here now for many years. In fact, I've done this for over 25 years as a full-time professional handicapper since the mid-1990s, and I have won consistently year after year. In fact, the last 2 years, hey, look, we're into 2024, right? So the 2023 results are in the books. And the last 2 years combined, 2022 and 2023, no one has won more units in all sports sides than I have at WagerTalk. Number 1 ranked, all sports combined the last 2 years. NBA alone last year was 103-63, 40 games above 500. That was just pro basketball. And I mentioned that because, yes, we're talking NFL, but don't forget about basketball. College and pro hoops is your daily moneymaker now for the next several months, and then baseball around the corner. Those are the bread and butter sports. That's how you make money on a consistent long-term basis, is playing every sport every day and taking a serious, consistent, long-term investment approach. I know you hear me say it year after year, and yet many of you sit back and watch winter after winter pass you by. New Year is here. All sports, all access special is still available through this weekend. Hey, we went 4-1 on January 1st. I know many of you got on board at the start of the year and you've been winning all week long. If you didn't, it's not too late to still get a 365-day all access and save big. Hey, look, you missed the first week of January this year. The good news, though, sign up now. You get all of next year's first week of January into 2025. No matter how you choose, no matter when you look to start, 365 straight days and nights of all sports, college and pro football, college and pro basketball, Major League Baseball, every play I release that I am personally using, same games I've won with consistently for over 25 straight years, you get every day at WagerTalk.com, and you save 41% when you sign up this weekend with promo code SM365. It works out to just over $3 a day for all sports. That works out to just about $1 a play for the entire year. Don't delay. Get on board right now. Get my strong Sunday NFL best bets, my college football national championship winner, Michigan, Washington. That strong best bet is posted right now for Monday night. And then most importantly, the daily college and pro basketball best bets as well for just over $3 a day, just over $1 a play. Promo code SM365. Instant 41% discount for a full year, 365 straight days of all sports, all access. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Don't forget also about the daily free plays that I post on that page. Daily free plays, including for this Sunday's NFL right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. All right, those are the 3 daytime early games I gave you. Now let's look at the 2 late games at 4:25 Eastern. Public is on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are getting some love from the public, minus the 3 against the Broncos. Both Broncos and Raiders have been eliminated from the postseason. This game has no meaning whatsoever. And we do have some young, inexperienced quarterbacks. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie, of course, from Purdue, has been starting the majority of the season for the Raiders. He will once again be at the helm. He's alternated good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. He had a 96 rating last week against the Colts. He was awful the week before against the Chiefs. He was fantastic against the Chargers, bad that week before against the Raiders, the Vikings rather. If it holds up, he's alternated good game, bad game now for 5-6 straight games. That would indicate maybe a below average performance here. But then again, do you trust the Bronco defense? I know they've played better the second half of the season, but it's still a team that gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins earlier this year. And as I mentioned, they have also been officially eliminated from the postseason. They've benched Russell Wilson, which means Jarrett Stidham will start once again for the second straight week at quarterback after starting against the Chargers last week. He actually played well last week, a 93.8 QB rating. This is the guy, of course, who was a 4th-round draft pick by the Patriots back in 2019 out of Auburn. Very mediocre 77.5 career QB rating with the Patriots. Raiders last year. He actually played for the Raiders last year. Now the Broncos this season. 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions over a 4-year career. Tough call here, but the Raiders once again are getting some public love despite being just 7-9 against the 8-8 Broncos. Both teams eliminated, but the public is fading Denver, and they like the Raiders, who have, by the way, covered 3 in a row, and they've only failed to cover once in their last 7 games. So I think that's the main reason the Raiders are now getting some public love at -3. All right, one other game also at 4:25 Eastern this Sunday in that same division, the AFC West, is the one public underdog this week. Ding, ding, red flag alert, public underdog, Kansas City Chiefs, +3.5. And boy, you can understand why the public is backing the Chiefs. It's not that they're backing the Chiefs. They're just fading the Chargers. I mean, how could the Chargers be laying 3.5 against anybody, right? Well, the Chiefs have absolutely nothing to play for. They have locked up the number 3 seed in the AFC playoffs, and it is obvious they're going to sit guys here as Patrick Mahomes is not going to play in this game, which means we're going to have a lot of backups on both sides of the ball for Kansas City. Blaine Gabbert, the veteran Blaine Gabbert, mediocre journeyman quarterback, will get the start for Kansas City, and I expect them to sit several others. They're going to basically approach this like a preseason game. The question is, though, can the Chargers do anything about it? Very seldom do I think teams quit in the NFL. Maybe one team a year kind of tosses the towel, but it does appear that maybe the Chargers are that team this year. This is a Charger team that was 4-4 straight up halfway through the season. Now they've since gone 1-7 straight up their last 8 games down the stretch. Their only win, that 6-0 barn burner at New England a month ago. And keep in mind, just a few weeks ago, they lose 63-21 to the Raiders. They did bounce back with a much better effort that following Saturday on national TV, the 24-22 loss against Buffalo. But then they lost 16-9 to the Broncos a few weeks ago. Before that, they lost 24-7 to the Broncos. So they've now scored 9 points or less in 3 of their last 5 games. So I'm not sure I'm in a hurry to lay 3.5 with the Chargers, even though the Chiefs have nothing to play for. But once again, Kansas City is the one public underdog this week. By the way, I did do a standalone solo video for this game here on WagerTalk TV, and I would lean over 35. If you're looking to play this game, I think the total is actually the best option. Over 35 would be my lean. Neither team has anything to play for, but I still think the defense could be a little lax for that reason and more of a playground atmosphere here, and both teams might open it up, and it's a very low total at 35. So if you are going to play it, I'd actually look more at the over 35. But once again, Kansas City, the one public underdog this week, +3.5 as the public wants nothing to do with the Chargers laying more than a field goal. All right, those are the 5 public plays here for Sunday, Week 18, January the 7th. Once again, recapping them: the Lions, the Buccaneers, Saints, Raiders, and Chiefs. Those are your 5 public sides. We'll see how they do. Fade the public has gone 19-11, 63% the last 5 weeks. I tread a little lightly here in Week 18. I don't think this public consensus data is quite as strong as Week 18 as maybe the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks have been, but still something to keep an eye on when you're doing your handicapping. Once again, if you want my official best bets for this Sunday, I've isolated some strong plays for this Sunday, games that I do think cash. I also have the Monday Night National Championship winner, strong best bet between Michigan and Washington. And then, of course, daily college and pro basketball. Nobody wins more in the NBA than I do. In fact, last year, 40 games above 500, and we're off to a great start in college hoops. Don't miss out on basketball. Get the rest of football and baseball around the corner. Hey, not a bad time to try an all sports, all access. Now, we do have a special I forgot to mention earlier. Buy 4 weeks, get a 5th week free. So if you want to kind of start a little bit smaller, try a 1-month package. You buy 4 weeks, you get the 5th week for free right now. No promo code needed. That's on my page right now at WagerTalk. But the best deal is that all year, all sport access for just over $3 a day. Instant 41% discount with promo SM365. Details once again on my page along with daily free plays. Check out the free plays for this weekend on my page and win big. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Hey, follow me on Twitter as well at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L at Steve Merril on Twitter. Don't forget to also post free plays throughout the week on Instagram. YMOIG, who knew? And also comment below. I read all the comments. I reply back. Let me know your thoughts, where you agree or disagree, where you're going to fade the public this week, and other NFL plays you like for this Sunday, Week 18. Also, hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts so you know when this video goes live throughout the playoffs. I will be continuing each week throughout the playoffs, NFL Fade the Public style. And don't forget, college basketball top 25 Friday night into Saturday video is going to start soon as well this month. So yet another reason to hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts. You know when these videos go up each and every week. In the meantime, enjoy the games. Best of luck. Have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you again soon right here on Wager Talk TV.